Hi, I'm at Pate Kadai in Siem Reap, Cambodia. This is part of the Angkor Wat complex that has hundreds of these ancient ruins of Hindu and then later Buddhist temples. There's a bunch of similar looking but very intricate statues and engravings that have been here for centuries. This is Pre-Rupt Temple with much more elevation than the last one here. Even the steps. They're about the size of 2 steps at once. Yeah, be careful where I'm walking. This temple is massive, but it doesn't even compare to what Angkor Wat is. I'll be going there later. These monkey statues are everywhere at the entrances. And this is what it looks like after the ceiling has collapsed in. This temple is about twice the size centuries ago. But the largest one still seems to be remaining. There's a labyrinth of different passageways. It's incredible how some of these doors are still there. The entrance is unsupported. Others obviously have been reinforced over time. I'm now on my way to Nikpoan Temple. You have to walk across this bridge, across this somewhat shallow lake to get there. On this island in the middle of the lake. And this here is the temple. In the middle of a little pond, on an island, on a lake, in the middle of the Cambodian jungle. This is Tenai Temple. Much more hidden location, a lot less touristy. I had to take the motorcycle on a sand path all the way here, which wasn't fun. But nonetheless, I made it. This one's obviously in quite more ruin than the others. I know the Cambodian government is working on restoring a lot of these back to their original state, but there's so many of them, it's hard to get to each one and do it properly. But even these smaller ones have intricate designs throughout. Well, here I am standing in a very small temple in the back middle woods of Cambodia, which are dense to say the least. It's an incredible place, this Angkor Wat. To be honest, the reason I actually came here was just to see something this unique outside of the Great Pyramids, Great Wall of China. This might be top 3, top 5 places of historic value that you can visit. The amount of tourists. I'm here on a random Monday. Nothing special. At the main places, crazy. Here, where there's no paved road to get to and no access. On the other hand, much more peaceful and relaxing. I'll show you here. This is where I'm currently standing. I can see a couple steel bars up there holding some things together. But overall, this is an entirely enclosed, probably waterproof building that is not very big. And the purpose of it, to be honest, don't really know. But hey, to be in the middle of a jungle with no cell reception, and this is what you could find with barely any directions, is rather neat. Way to Pram Temple, which is one of the more famous temples in this complex. It's mostly known for being in a couple of his sets. It's most known for its tree that grows out of it, and I'll be showing that to you here shortly. This is the entrance here. As you can see, quite busy. To the temple, you can see just how much has already collapsed. Granted, it's over centuries, so I guess the fact anything is still standing is remarkable. These mountains were clearly made for someone shorter than me, because I have to duck between each and every one. But I mean, isn't that beautiful? Each of these columns still standing. I would guess that these are old Buddha statues that have either been broken on purpose or not, which unknown, at least I don't know. I mean, just look at the intricacies. And here is the tree that comes out of the temple. It's rather popular. But in my personal opinion, outside of the improbability of a tree growing out of a temple, there's more beautiful things to see. This is the first depiction of an elephant that I've seen. At least that I've seen. I've probably walked by dozens. It just shows the history of the Cambodian people riding elephants, which obviously now is discouraged, but still occurs. Somehow, at this temple, there's some little bit. The inside where all the trees are growing, it is packed to the brim. That being said, I personally like the smaller ones more tranquil. You can tell there's more thought put into them. These seem, at least on the outside, a lot of copy and paste design, which, not to discredit anyone's work, because I'm sure it took, thousands and thousands and thousands of hours to do all this. Millions even. But the small ones, that most likely for private practices, today are much more nice to visit. But that being said, I've officially ran out of adjectives to explain about this place. Almost died. But it's just incredible. I'm now at the Bayun Temple Complex, which again is one of the larger ones. This one, though, is interesting. The exterior seems to be all sculpted into these same figures, all the way from the bottom to the top. I unfortunately don't know too much about Hindu and Buddhist cultures to know exactly what. But this side has different figurines on it, much larger, as they're supporting the ones above. And over here, they even have an elephant. As his trunk goes to the ground, the fact that has remained somewhat stable. It's crazy. This is Bufuan Temple. I'm hoping I pronounced that correctly. But this is just one of the side ones to the major complex in this area. And this alone and some other areas within about 12 miles of here are one by itself. Well, this area is known for one thing. Monkey. Now, at the peak of the temple, I don't know if this is showing on camera how high this is, but I would estimate at least 100 feet. And up here, these arches give a good indication of how much taller it was before. There'd presumably be a ceiling above this. Here you can see them hunting wild boar, cattle, horses. Here's a bunch more different depictions of animals in action, battles, them on chariots by horses. Birds ahead. I'm sure these pictographs told something at one point besides the obvious meaning. Curious to know what it was. And this is the Bayon Temple. Bayon, something like that. Bayon. And again, it's a rather large temple. Here are some more depictions of people working. Again, drawn horseback carriages. Even here, riding an elephant. Several one after another. Here it shows them on a boat. You can see all the fish, a large crocodile, and over here, more elephants. This one even looks like they're trying to pull against it, the opposite direction. Here's some more interesting ones. Looks like they're picking bananas. Hunting with a bow and arrow for deer. Looks like a rabbit. Over here shows a person trying to catch fish. Well, when you live in, I believe this was made in the early, well, let's just call it well over 1,000 years ago. That's about all you did. Harvest food and eat it. And apparently build gigantic temples. The really interesting thing about these temples in this Angkor Wat area in Siem Reap, Cambodia, is that obviously they were used as temples for hundreds of years. But at one point, they were all covered in forest. And only up to a little over 100 years ago, they've rediscovered it. Well, the Western world had rediscovered these temples and worked on getting them restored. Not as temples, but as more tourist attractions. That being said, they were being neglected at the time. They were all covered in forest. And bringing these temples to life, once again, has done a great work for the Cambodian government, bringing tourists to the area. So it's been a net positive overall. We get to see these incredible carvings and temples brought to the world again that were once lost. And they get the money that we take and give them to be able to visit, which, not too expensive, is $37 for a one-day trip to see these temples. Granted, that just gives you access to them. You have to find your own way there, that sort of thing. But, which, luckily enough, I can ride a motorcycle somewhat decently. Well enough to get here, at least. So, I was lucky enough to not need a tour guide or a tuk-tuk driver to get here. These monkeys are all over the place. And play fighting. This is my boy George. He's chill as hell. These monkeys are very used to humans. They know that we have food and water and drinks, so they come and try to grab stuff out of your bag. I'm finally now back on our way to the last spot I'll be at today, the Angkor Wat. And here it is. It looks so much further away on camera than it actually is. And I have to say it's about twice the distance in width than any other temple I've been to today, and much more intact. Especially the outsides. It appears as though all the ceilings are still there, which certainly haven't been for others. That is the only fully intact, I'll call it serpent sculpture, that I've seen all day. Right at the entrance leading to the pathway to Angkor Wat, which once again is on an island in the middle of the lake. And here's the entrance. Again, very crowded, but for a nice tip for my worker at the hostel, I came later in the day, and the crowd is much less than you expect. More presumably Buddha statues in here as well. And this is just the opening gate of Angkor Wat. There's a second portion behind it that is even cooler. But I want to check this part out first while there's barely no one here. And there is the actual building of Angkor Wat, way out there, crossing this path once again to get there. Just in front of the entrance here, you can see all these different ornate carvings. Depicting different battles. Matter of fact, it's the Battle of Lanka. This one's by far has the most detail that still remains, which helps because they were rather far indented compared to those at the other temples I looked at that are rather shallowly, well, at least now, engraved. You can even see some temples that they've put in the battle. Inside Angkor Wat, there are a bunch of these statues that they have displayed, obviously moved, and unfortunately weathered over time. And these statues, from what I've seen so far, there isn't any exactly like those that are still around in completion. They just have these ones with the arms, the head unfortunately falling off. That's just due to time and weathering. At least, you hope so, and not some sort of vandalism over the years. Unfortunately, you can't get access into the tops towers. I think those are reserved for special occasions and people of high religious merit in the Buddhist and Hindu cultures. But they're continuing to work on this even now to help improve the overall safety of Angkor Wat in the first place. So more and more people in the future can enjoy this. Several mostly completed statues that they have placed in this one. And there it is. Just left Angkor Wat, heading back this trail to the exit. I am tired out from temples all day. Started about 9 a.m. It's now about 4:30. Haven't really had anything to eat. It's about time to have some dinner. Bye.